They'll be calling you a radical. A lot to talk about here on the Fukushima diet. Trying to get my gloves on. It's cold, really cold. So I want to talk about this and all the hyperbole bullshit. You know, the platform that we have is the platform. It's extremely powerful. YouTube, abused to the 10th power. Now look, I'm going to talk about the salmon collapse. The number's going to be released today. They're meeting at 1 o'clock in Vancouver, Washington. The state of Oregon, state of Washington jointly are going to release the salmon spring run projected numbers and the regulations. Now, I'm going to talk about the fact that all the residencies of Fukushima in the different cities are being allowed to go back in. Well, being told to go back in. Look, number one, that is simply nothing more than cutting off payment. Now, when I was in Vienna 2 years ago, that's one of the main reasons I went to Vienna to protest at the IAEA. That's who made the decision. The decision was made by them. And I was protesting it then. You know, now think about the international atomic community. They set a nuclear disaster scale from 1 to 7. Now I want you to just think about that. That's malice from inception. Now I'm going to talk about the salmon number. This is real important. Now look, and I'm going to talk about a PhD and look, this isn't about opinion. Fukushima is not about opinion. It's not about dogma. You can find anything you want on YouTube, just like a library. You can find anything you can fit your dogma. Now to listen to a person who's a vlogger or a blogger who spins, who sits in his basement, his house, whatever. They are what they are. But look, let's get real about that. It's meaningless, absolutely meaningless. It's opinion. This has nothing to do with opinion. Look, as I set out on this journey the day Fukushima happened, Fukushima blah, 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 I hypothesized very early they're dumping plutonium into the Pacific Ocean, that it was going to kill the Pacific Ocean. It was going to kill the krill. It was going to let off a new energy called plutonium. The eco chain was going to collapse. And it was going to, you know, cause an incredible heat source, burn holes in the ozone. It was going to kill trees, starve to death animals. It was going to be the greatest ecological collapse in history. I called it the Great Pacific Genocide, very early. So then I said it's going to give you leukemia. It's going to give millions leukemia. Now, did I think I'd get it? No. Out of the woods? I think so. So anyway, the path. But a real PhD, you have to do the work. 3.5 years traditionally is field work. So all these PhDs have been awarded the last 30 years, they're not PhDs. It's just like the Supreme Court in the United States Supreme Court. You have an illegitimate Supreme Court. Not my words. Any scholar knows this. Bush did not win by any stretch of the imagination. So you have 2 Supreme Court justices sitting on the court that were appointed by an illegitimate president. Now, it's happened before. I mean, there's plenty of scholars, been much written about the illegitimate United States Supreme Court. Over and over and over and over. And you think that's a court, you're insane. It's a political branch, which is abstract to the whole 3 branches of government. So, the salmon numbers. And I did the work. Look, you Google dead tide pools, you get me. I walked the whole coast. A lot of it multiple times. I'm the first one to scream and look, the starfish are dead. You could see the plume. The dead tide, nobody believed me. The dead trees, very first one. You know, people see regurgitating that it's beetles. I mean, come on. Even California never said it was beetles on this. It's solar radiation. It's pine trees. They hold the thing. So scientists are mystified. They're baffled. They're puzzled. Are they all dead wrong and liars? Well, they're all in their comfortable thing because none of them did the work. Now look, Aaron Swartz broke into Y12, right? He broke into Y12 to just very reason. Excuse me, that was Megan Rice. He broke into MIT Media Lab. Downloading the PhDs. Look, the PhDs, they captured the information. You have to sign over. So this PhD's transparent. Everybody says, I want to read your PhD. It's right here on YouTube. I mean, dead tide pools. For everything. I mean, I'm the guy who did all the work. You can hypothesize. This isn't about opinion. I was like, say I'm going to go to sea for 5 years, 5 years. And everybody says, oh, opinionate all over. I fish and I talk this. Look, Tim's up there every day. I talk to him every day. I got whistleblowers, grassrooters, hardcore people inside those. I mean, these are lifelong Oregon and Washington natives, their whole life salmon fishing. And the natives. I mean, I talk to these people every day. Every day. I mean, they've sold their fishing equipment. There's no salmon. It's totally collapsed. epic historic collapse. So salmon go to sea for 5 years. Alaska, mega collapse. Now remember the Kenai ran early last year, and I'm like, no, get geeked up. They're starving. They're starving. I mean, it's an incredible eco chain collapse. I proved it. You can't argue with me anymore. You can't. I mean, that's what a PhD, you have to hypothesize the new energy, which I hypothesize as what I call Fukushima. It's really not a new energy. So are all these scientists baffled, mystified, puzzled, and stumped, every last one of them? Well, let's get real about that. Is that even possible? Because they're too anal to regurgitate. They're regurgitating old information. Look, a real PhD has to prove new knowledge. This is the new knowledge. The new knowledge is a new heat. I named it Fukushima, F-U, a long time ago. So here's what they're going to do inside Oregon. So inside Oregon and Washington, now the Mitchell Act. If you don't know about the Mitchell Act, look it up and read it. So the Mitchell Act was taken over by the Chamber of Commerce. They switched it from the Department of Agriculture, these corrupt, you know, NOAA's corrupt, they're all corrupt. They're derelicts, none of them refuse to do their job. And if the information is that there's capture. Now, is the Trump administration going to play ball? Obviously. And you think about it, the guy who started PayPal, okay, he's funded this little module in nuclear, which they called transatomic, which has turned out to be a fraud. And that's MIT themselves calling it a fraud. The fraudsters calling the fraud. Now, MIT Media Lab, Abe runs there. The whole cover-up of Fukushima, it goes into Snowden, it goes into Aaron Swartz, it goes into all these people to cover. It's the greatest crime in human history, by far. So, inside the hearing, they're going to meet at 1 o'clock. So, there's, look, Oregon uses sonar. So the Stillhead run this winter was 95% collapse. It's over. The Wilmanette and the Bonneville combined together under the sonar had less than 500 for the year. That's over a 95% collapse. It's an epic collapse. Salmon go to sea for 5 years. Stillhead can make 2 runs. They go. The Stillhead in the Bonneville and the Wilmanette, all of them, some are 90% collapse. They're all 75% year over year. That's Endangered Species Act. Why did they not kick it in? Good question. People are going to go to jail with this. So what they did exactly last year. You remember on May 1st, I stood right here last year and said they've emergency closed Puget Sound. That's what they do, because that's when the hard number has to go in to these agencies. So what they're going to do, because look, you got to understand, in Washington and Oregon, the retail fishing industry, come up and go, let's go fishing, is a major, well, it is the economy in Oregon. It's gigantic. You know, and this is the country. Kill all animals, kill all species, we don't care. Protect someone else's wealth, we trade in our health. This is the greatest PhD in human history I did. Period. You can't argue with it. It's unarguable now because the salmon have collapsed. So you have to prove it. Look, you can call coincidence all you want, but as stats professors, as a good, you know, PhD, we hypothesize and we have to go out and prove it. Look, Fukushima happened, it's going on 6 years. Salmon go to sea for 5 years. They epically collapsed. Everything. You know, you hypothesize it's going to happen, it happened. So we look for outliners. Then you have to defend the work. Prove me wrong. You can't. You can't. Because I have the empirical data. I have it right here. Every day, including right down to my own cancer, the own leukemia. Every single day. 2,180 some odd days. Every day, including in the bone marrow. I mean, these trolls and rats talk about my cat. I mean, there's lots of videos with my central line hat on my jugular vein inside the bone marrow transplant. You know, there's hundreds of them. You know, they're everywhere. So it's empirical, it's unarguable. And one other thing, Target missed their number on their winter quarter. The stock market going to collapse? Yes. I think it's peaked, it's time. As you know, I've been pro-stock market and anti-gold silver the whole time. I mean, I shorted silver at 47 that night, right in these classrooms. You can watch the videos. That's how I paid for my stay in the bone marrow transplant unit, but it broke me. So, and I would like to thank you, everybody who's funded this work, and you know, this historical, incredible work. If I didn't do it, it didn't get done. So you can hypothesize. I like these vloggers and bloggers that first Fukushima's all that, then they jump out and say Fukushima's a fraud. Then how they know from their basement? I mean, because they got AdSense accounts. I understand they're trying to make a buck. So, and this time it's going to be deflation. It's going to be deflation, I'm here to tell you. You know, I've been deadly on these things. The market's going to collapse, silver's going to collapse, gold's going to collapse, everything's going to collapse. It's called the asset class. It's going to benefit everybody who's not the asset class, like it did. But the problem is everybody's used their house and became the asset class. A real estate bubble from hell. It's simple. You just look at the matrix on the participation rate, and you look at the matrix. As I built my matrix, my wealth matrix, you know, I was up to that before I got cancer. It's online. All this is online. Because my PhD, I wanted it to be transparent. I wanted the world to see it. I didn't want to... Look, I got blackballed from the university. It's real simple. You don't sign over your information and everything and all your work to them. They don't give it. They don't award it. It's peer review. It's a joke. It's a joke. Those are not PhDs. It's become an academia bubble. It's become a corporation. It's become a controlled knowledge. You know, look at the wealth structure in this country. You know, the top of the pyramid. I mean, there's more concentrated wealth in Russia and the United States than any place in the history of the world. So they're going to announce this. I already know what they're going to do. So they're going to announce them, and they're using projected numbers. They're refusing to use NOAA's number. NOAA projected 70,000 salmon in the spring Chinook run and the Bonneville. That's endangered species stuff. So they're not going to use that number. They're still regurgitating last year's projected number. Now you think about that. That's like setting the scale from 1 to 7. I said, why are you using last year's projected number? We know what the hard number is. And remember, they use sonar on all these rivers. I can walk all the way up. Let's go to the Copper River. They came in at 800,000, should have had 1.5 million. And we're not talking just by, and that's just by number. By weight, they're collapsed. These salmon are coming in sickly, skinny. Okay, then we go down to the Kenai. They ran early. They had to shut it off emergency 2 years. Then we go to Bristol Bay. They're talking extinction on the pinks. Obama administration signed all 9 fisheries into federal disasters. That's how big they collapsed in 2016. Then you go down into the Washington. They emergency closed Puget Sound. Let's talk about the Fraser in British Columbia, the greatest year-over-year collapse in its history. They're talking extinction level in British Columbia. You know, Dunford's work up there when he took the boat up and down, I mean, it's unarguable. You know, my work, I walked the entire coast on the dead tide pools. Let's keep going down. So we get to the Slam and Salmon Derby. They caught 14 fish, 400 fishermen, 400 nautical miles, the best fishing derby each day, 2 days, 14. Let's talk about the T Club, the exact T Club, 8 legal fish. These are 99% collapses, 95% collapse, and I could just keep working on down. Let's go to the Wilmanette, you know, 75% collapse. How about the Bonneville? There's the big one. The Bonneville projected they projected 3 million salmonoids in 2016. They got 700,000. Why did not the endangered? Because it's all about economy, 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 which is ridiculous. It's like the fishermen want to argue. You know, the hardcore real grassroots fishermen, you know, and overfished by the, oh, come on, gill netting, whatever, the tribal fights that are going on, their answer has been to shoot the sea lions and shoot the comrades. You know, they've killed over half the comrades, you know, they shoot them, there's a bounty on them. So, this is a big deal. So they're going to announce his side there. They're not going to use NOAA's number, which is fraud. They're going to make up a number, which I already know what the number is. It's still going to be a horrible number. I think they're going to project 600,000. And let's have a bet. Any of you want to have a bet? Who's closer, the 70,000 number or the 600? I'll set the over-under anybody wants to bet, just like you argue with me. You know, it's like I argue with the fishermen. They get all mad at me. I says, what are you shooting the messenger for? I mean, I'm the guy doing the work. How are you going to fish with them? I mean, I'm on your team. I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to fight. You know, come fishing, come fishing, come fishing. You know, and so, look, I'm not a vlogger. I'm not a blogger. PhD, greatest PhD probably ever done. Activist, oh yeah. Artist, oh yeah. Historian, oh yeah. I mean, you think about my fight and my work, and you know, it's like I did an interview in Germany yesterday, and they asked me, sure, well, you're the artist, you're the avant-garde, you're the activist, you're the PhD, you're incredible, all this work. Answer us who you are. And I says, I'm a stay-at-home grandpa. You know, and I says, I'm a conservative. And they said, what do you mean? I says, I want to conserve the earth for my grandchildren. So the number will be out at 1 o'clock in Vancouver, and so then they will emergency close on May 1st, just like they did last year, because that's when they have to, because they're protecting the retail industry via the Chamber of Commerce, because they want that check on the Mitchell Act, government welfare subsidies, and the market's going to collapse. It's over. I mean, I'm telling you, it's coming any day, and Silver and gold will go right down. It's going to be deflation. It's going to be ugly this time because they shut all their arrows out of their quiver. Negative interest rate, that's their only tool they had. Stay tuned.